far as Nick Cannon goes, to spend with each one of your children, because the last thing we need in South Africa, the last thing we need in Philadelphia is another African child growing up only to hate the world and taking out their frustration on the world because mommy and daddy never validated me.
This sounds like an argument for men that don't have money, don't have jobs, shouldn't be reproducing.
Never. I would never make that argument.
The argument sounds like if you don't have money, which arguably a lot of men don't have, you can't have kids. If you do have a job, you're probably not going to have the time to spend with your kids.
That's not my argument. I don't think economics should dictate whether or not you produce children. We have a God-given right to have children. Yeah. I would even argue we have a God-given obligation to make children. The question wasn't whether or not they should have children. The question is whether or not they should have large numbers of them.
Okay.
You see the difference there?
Isn't that a limitation?
No, not necessarily, because remember, society is going to pay a cost if you're not able to spend time with those children. I'm a psychologist. Yeah. My job is to work with children. I deal with the emotionally frustrated and the socially dysfunctional child on a daily basis. It's my life. And do you know what they all have in common? From the killer to the drug dealer to the marijuana addict to the guy who's out sticking up old women for their pocketbooks. You know what they all have in common? Daddy never spent enough time with me. Mama never spent enough time with me. So it is very selfish for me as a black man to know I'm not going to raise these kids properly, produce them anyway, when I know the karmic reaction to my poor parenting is these children are going to take out the lack of love I gave them onto the community in the form of hatred. A lot of what's going on in South Africa, your murder rate is 3 times higher than America. In America, we're dying every day. South Africa's murder rate is 3 times higher than America. So you have to be responsible with your reproduction. Notice, I'm not emphasizing income. I'm emphasizing time. Children don't need money. They need time. You got one kid who has everything he wants, but gets no time with his dad. You got another kid living in poverty, but he gets time with his dad. Guess who's going to be happier over the long run? The impoverished kid who gets time with his child. So I don't care about the money. Yeah. Make babies. But you better have time to spend with them babies, because if you don't, that child will take out their pain that you caused them on the rest of us in South African society. And that's not fair. What they say is an African proverb: the destruction of a people begins in the homes of its children.
There seems to be an agenda, not just African parental alienation, where a lot of mothers have taken it upon themselves to be the authority to decide if a child is to spend time with their parents or their fathers or not. He doesn't have money. He stays far away. What would you say to women who fundamentally believe it is in their best interests to keep their children away from their fathers?
Radical black feminism that they were indoctrinated with from radical white feminism. Okay, first of all, in African culture, traditionally, parents do not own children. Children belong to the village. They come through you. They don't belong to you. The problem with Europeans is they believe they have a right to own everything. So the very concept that this is my child and I can do whatever I want with my child, that is not African, that is European. So one of the things we have to do is we have to restore the cultural foundation of African people in the black household. We got to be taught it. Men got to be taught, how did men used to regulate the society? Women got to be taught, how did we used to treat our children and treat our husbands? Sankofa, we got to go back and fetch what we lost. Yeah. But as long as the black woman is more educated and receives more income, and this is not her fault, this does not make her the enemy of black men. Yeah. And I try to get black men to see this. The white power structure set it up this way to use your woman as a gatekeeper against you. It's not her fault. Let's educate our sisters so they understand, as opposed to react to them and accuse them and set them up as an adversary, because that's what's happening in America. If you watch our YouTube, even here in South Africa to an extent, men are blaming women for doing better than them. Yeah. She don't control the society. She don't control the university. She don't control the economy. How can it be her fault? It's not. Let's stop ignoring the unseen hand in the room. And the unseen hand is the hand of white supremacy that's using black women as a weapon to disadvantage black males. She is not to blame. She is a pawn in the game because she's politically uneducated. But so are we. Let's unite. As long as we are divided, we cannot win. A house divided against itself cannot stand. We don't even need to talk about white supremacy. We don't even need to talk about the redistribution of South Africa's wealth. We don't even need to talk about the redistribution of South Africa's land until the black man and black woman are standing side by side.
My last 2 questions. First one is, I once saw a video of you, and I'm not sure if this is accurate or if maybe your stance has changed, where you were speaking about, I'm going to put it very crudely and I apologize, A grade, B grade, C grade people. Man, woman. Single woman, virgin, young.
Polygyny.
Versus bit older woman, 2 children, divorced. Much older woman, divorced twice, different kids from different fathers. You do the same with men. And you are almost arguing that people in the B or C category should date within their lane. So if I am, as a man, divorced, 3 kids from 2 different mothers, I shouldn't be going for the virgin, young, no children.
Not true.
Something I once heard, and I don't know if I misunderstood.
You misunderstood, but I'm going to clarify. What I was speaking of was polygyny, plural marriage. In societies where black men are being targeted, black women have to consider plural marriage. We have cities in America where there's 1 black man to 20 black women.
Jeez.
It is irresponsible and ridiculous to assume that that man is only going to be with that woman when there's 21 other women who need a husband. Because sociologically speaking, can we be honest? I don't care how Christian a woman is. I don't care how Muslim a woman is. I don't care how saved by Jesus a woman is. She wants a man. And if she can't find one, she'll share yours. That is the reality of the human condition. Religion ain't never stopped anybody from sharing somebody else's spouse when they wanted a partner. What I'm saying is this: to control that adultery, to control and protect the integrity of the black family, let's consider some time-limited scientific approaches to polygyny. So what you're speaking of with the categories was not for men, it was for women. And what I said was, if you allow black men, even in South Africa, where I believe the women may outnumber you as well, if you allow the man to marry 2 women, hypothetically, they're all going to go for the most attractive, the most educated, the most wealthy. Polygyny is not designed to benefit only the top crust of women. Polygyny is designed so every woman in South Africa has equal chance of getting a husband. That means women with multiple children, women with irreversible diseases, women with health complications, they're more undesirable. So if we want to make sure that they get a husband as well, you got to have a system where you say, Dr. Umar, you've already taken one of these sisters over here. All the brothers want to be with them. Yeah. No kids, beautiful, educated, no liability at all. But because polygyny is to benefit the community, you have to now marry a woman with multiple children. You now have to marry a woman who's above the age of your desirability. You now have to marry a woman who may have a little bit more baggage financially or psychologically. The point that I was making is, if we're going to go to a polygynous society, we have to make sure we're not exploiting women. And the best way to make sure you do that is to give women who are not what a lot of men would want an opportunity to get married as well. So if I want 4 wives, they're not all going to be Beyonce. You understand? You're going to get that heavy set sister over there. You're going to get the sister with 5 kids over here. You see, you're going to get the sister who just came out of jail over here. Because polygyny is for the society. It is not for the man.
Dr. Umar, Ifatunde, again on behalf of my audience, what's a snow bunny?
A snow bunny is a white woman.
Black men stay away from snow bunny?
First of all, as Pan-Africanists, we believe in self-determination, African independence, right? So that means every school need to be built for and by black people. Every bank need to be built for and by black people. Every hospital needs to be built for and by black people. Every community needs to be built for and by black people. Every family needs to be built for and by black family. There's more African women on the planet than any other population. There's no other population that has more of itself than black women. So what excuse do I have dating outside of my race with so many African women? Now let's add to that the oppressive history that we've had with the European. These people have enslaved us. They have robbed us. They have colonized us. They have neo-colonized us. And you mean to tell me that white people have done all this to me and to my race, and I'm going to turn around and choose a white woman to carry my child? Do you know how sick that is? Why do I want to put my melanated seed in the belly of a devil? Why? It makes no sense. Black men date out their race more than all other men put together. You know why? Racial inferiority. We don't think we're as good as the white man, so we need the white woman in order for us to feel an artificial sense of equality. It is self-hatred to the 20th power. I'm not against white women, but I support black women. And in my support of black women, I cannot condone interracial dating. But let's look at the economics. Take the romance out. Take the emotion out. Let's look at the economics. Marriage is a business contract. Women on average live longer than men. So if I marry a white woman and I die prematurely, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. I die prematurely, rest in peace, marvelous Marvin Hagler. That white woman is not going to take any of the wealth that I built as a black man and give it to the black community so we can help regenerate ourselves. She's going to keep that money for herself, and all that black money will go back into the hands of white society. Interracial marriage is economic betrayal.
Are there any good white people in the world?
There may be, but it doesn't matter. And you know why? No matter how good an individual white person may be, they have an obligation to look out for the best interests of the white race. Therefore, no matter how well-meaning they may be, at the end of the day, they're going to close ranks with their own people. Every white person has an obligation to promote and protect white privilege. If there were so many good white people in the world as so many black multiculturalists claim, why is apartheid still in effect? Why do you have 200,000 homeless black people in South Africa? Why are there 3,000 South Africans who own more than the bottom 32 million of South Africa? Why has the income equality in South Africa gotten worse since April 27th of 1994? If you got all these good white people, we should see some structural evidence of their good deeds. Show me the good deeds of those good demons, and I'll change my mind.
A very sensitive topic is the topic of black men and black fathers and black women's infertility. I'd like you to please touch on that, and then I have a follow-up question to that based on something you've said before, which I've always struggled to find since. Mm-hmm. But your thoughts around the black father not being in the home mm-hmm. and not being present in their child's life, and the agenda to get, in particular, African women infertile.
Absolutely. Number one, we cannot talk about black men being in the home in being effective fathers if we don't help black men address the economic crisis that they face. The reason South Africa's jails are filled with black men, America's jails are filled with black men, Jamaica's jails, Haiti's jails, Brazil's jails are filled with black men, is because they have to break the law in order to take care of their family. So the economy is largely responsible for the disintegration of the traditional black family. A man's job is to protect and to provide. What are we doing to help them provide? I just heard yesterday that we got young black men in South Africa, university degree, graduate degree, medical degree, can't get a job.
100%.
Why would I want to build a family that I'm not able to take care of? The reason we don't see more black women get married is because men don't feel confident that they'll be able to care for that woman and child. We have to look at the self-esteem of a man.